So both Kellyanne Conway and Ivanka Trump have been accused of violating the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act basically says that employees of the government cannot wear, display, or distribute items with any sort of political slogan or any other materials from a presidential campaign, or use any sort of hashtags related to it, or display non official pictures of, for example, politicians. So that's basically what the Hatch Act says. Now, first, let's go to Ivanka Trump, right? So now, a nonpartisan watchdog group has accused Ivanka Trump last week of violating the Hatch Act. Now, this is the ethics watchdog Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Now, they claim that Ivanka Trump violated the Hatch Act by using her Twitter account for partisan political purposes. Now, according to the Office of Special Counsel, the OSC, that's not part of the Mueller report, it's a different Office of Special Counsel. The purpose of a Hatch Act in limiting political activities or federal employees working in the executive branch is to ensure programs are administered in a nonpartisan fashion, to protect employees from political coercion in the workplace, and to ensure that federal employees are advanced based on merit and not based on political affiliation. Now, of course, in the Trump administration, it seems inherently laughable because Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner had gotten their positions not by political affiliation, but by, of course, familial affiliation, right? So that's nepotism. Nobody seems to talk about that, right? Now, Ivanka Trump, according to Crew, used her personal accounts for both official and unofficial things while she was in that position. She's currently still in that position. She had apparently tweeted out an image that featured the president's Make America Great Again campaign slogan, and the tweet referenced the launch of the Trump campaign in 2015 and promised that the best is yet to come. Again, that would appear to be a violation of the Hatch Act because you cannot tweet those photos and you cannot tweet any sort of campaign slogan while you're working in the White House. You're not able to do that, right? But, of course, she did it anyway. And in her Twitter bio, she notes that she's, quote, an advisor to the POTUS on job creation, economic empowerment, workforce development, and entrepreneurship. And if you look at her tweets, of course, they generally relate to official matters. Crew also noted that the tweet came 2 days before President Trump held a launch event for his re-election campaign on June 18th, and was sent just 3 days after OSC issued a public report finding that counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, also violated the Hatch Act using her personal Twitter account and recommending her removal from government service. Now, the official guidelines recommend that violators of the Hatch Act could face removal from federal service, reduction in grade, debarment from federal service for a period not to exceed 5 years, suspension, letter of a reprimand, or civil penalty not to exceed $1,000. Now, the problem here is, of course, we have a lawless administration. Kellyanne Conway clearly violated the Hatch Act, and let me go to that. Now, she had been found to have done so many Hatch Act violations that she has broken the record for Hatch Act violations in the last 30 years. Done more. The House Committee on Oversight and Reform had just voted 25-16 to subpoena Kellyanne Conway after she failed to appear for a hearing back on Wednesday on charges that she violated the Hatch Act at least a dozen times. That's amazing. Now, during the hearing, Special Counsel Henry Kerner, who recommended that Conway be removed from federal service, said that the Office of Special Counsel had never issued two reports on the same person in the 30 years it has been independent before Conway. I mean, that's amazing, right? No one before Conway has had that many violations of the Hatch Act. Now, again, this is a law that prohibits executive branch employees from using their official position to influence an election. And yet she has done that, and so has Ivanka Trump. That's amazing. I mean, again, they violate the law, and what's going to happen? They're probably going to get away with it. And that's sort of the sad, like, reality of living in a lawless administration, or of having a lawless administration. Our country is being run by criminals. Donald Trump is a clear-cut criminal. And look, I don't like to quote Steve Bannon a lot, but even Steve Bannon says, and he largely agrees with Trump on policy issues. He even says, they're a crime family. That's what they do. And Kellyanne Conway is going along with it for some reason, and I don't know why. It could be the fame, it could be the power that gets to her head. I don't know, but for some reason she continues to do this, and maybe it's because there are no consequences. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm gonna have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.